Hey, hello. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Got Anthony Fagiano here with me.
How's it going, man?
How's it going? Great. Episode 116 of the Drummergy Podcast, the live and interactive stream show about live music and drums.
Awesome.
And coffee.
And coffee.
Coffee. Man, I thank you, for one, for getting up so ridiculously early.
Oh, no problem. I'm an early guy. I like getting up early.
You are the early guy.
I am. I get up at like 5. I don't know why. I love getting up early.
At 5?
About 5:30 usually.
On purpose?
On purpose. I walk my dog at 5:30. He got to walk a little earlier today.
Yeah, because you had to be here. Yeah. And Anthony stopped at Human Being and brought beverages.
Know how many people wait in line for that coffee. I always make my own. But
oh yeah. Well, I have a whole pot of coffee in there ready to go.
We'll drink it.
Yeah. So we'll get into some deep discussion here, which I'm really excited about. And for like the past 30 minutes, Anthony, I've been sitting here and we started going down the rabbit hole of our history together.
Like our normal life.
Yeah. You might have to talk a little bit
louder.
Okay. Got to get the front man on the microphone.
All right. Check 1.
Check 2. Check you later.
99.
99. I say that all the time. I got little Anthony.
Yeah, he stole a lot of my sayings.
Yes. I even stole your talents from drumming.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I taught Fred everything he knows.
Yeah, that's right. So before we get into it, as you know, as a fan of the show, I like to talk about the silly. There's actually really no silly holidays today. They're a little more serious, but not like in a
more legit.
Yeah. So, well, for one, kind of a fun one is today is March 4th, and today is the day that most people who have been in like the marching band stuff, like drum corps and indoor drumline and stuff like that, you start seeing people who have ever been involved with that sharing pictures of when they were in marching band and drum and bugle corps, and so you'll start seeing pictures of them marching.
Okay.
It's March 4th.
So it's March 4th.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess.
It's National Sun's Day.
Sun's Day.
You're off the hook.
I'm definitely off the hook with that.
Yeah. I got 4 sons and you've got 3 daughters.
3 daughters. Yeah.
You're a minority in a sorority, my friend.
Yes. Yeah. That's where all the gray hair comes from.
Oh, speaking of which,
yes.
I don't think I ever had gray hair until I had kids.
I believe I'm being honest. So like I always just wore my chin.
Yeah.
Deal black as coal.
Yeah.
My first daughter came out, it turned instantly gray. It seemed like that same month. And then I'm not joking.
No,
like
I believe
when
you.
I became a parent, it was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of other things changed too, you know.
Kids will do that to you.
Yeah.
They age
but,
you.
I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, neither would I. Neither would I. It's National Grammar Day, which I always need help with my grammar.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Me too.
It's like Mary always has. Mary's really good about keeping me in line with my grammar, but not before it happens. After
it happens, or she'll type it in.
After I say something wrong, then here comes the correction.
Yeah.
She's like the version of chasing something around with whiteout. We're gonna fix that and put in what's actually supposed to be there. What I get confused on is like me and Anthony went to the movies.
I always do that.
Anthony and I went to the movies. And then Mary says, well, you remove the other person. Who went? Did me go to the movies or did I go to the movies? I went to the movies. So it's Anthony and I went to the movies.
Yeah.
But then there's some other thing that she'll be like, no, it's me and Anthony went to the movies. I'm like,
I always thought
I can't keep up.
It's I, whatever you're,
I'm
like Fred and I are going to band practice.
Right. Right.
But I'm good at that one.
Okay.
Or when you get a phone call and don't you supposed to say, this is he?
I don't know.
No, I think you do.
So when you answer the phone, you say,
they'll say, is Anthony there? And I'll say, this is he.
Instead of this
which sounds weird to me. Yeah, this is him. But it's supposed to be this
him would be like in the third person.
I guess. I don't know. I heard that's the proper way. You might have to Google that.
Oh man, just
have Mary Google that.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's not very exciting. Today is National Self-Employed Day.
Oh, I'm self-employed.
Me too.
Yeah, I love being self-employed.
Me too.
Yeah, I had to call my boss to be here.
Yeah, you called yourself?
Yeah, I called myself.
Did you call yourself and say, hey, this is...
I'm going to be a little...
I'm Anthony. This is he. Oh, wait.
This is he.
This is he.
Yeah. I'm not coming in today.
I'm not... Yes, I don't see myself coming to work today. And then the more serious March 4th holiday, I guess, is... See, the producers.
Oh, she already
the producer's here.
Oh,
she's here. Mrs. Fisher says, "Bro." Okay, so now she's calling me bro.
Okay, bro.
But she didn't call me bruh.
Bruh? That's the thing. Oh, I learned another one.
Do your kids call you bruh?
Oh, I'm trying to learn this.
Don't even try.
Oh, there was this new one I learned yesterday from my middle daughter, Nicolette. She saw these boys, and now I'm not going to remember the saying that she called them. Well, they have these weird words.
It moves so fast, I can't keep up.
Yeah,
I just still say
bussin' or stuff like that. I don't know. I don't even want to get into
bussin', drip,
and it's ridiculous.
Skibbity.
We didn't have that.
No,
we just had dude and awesome.
Yeah,
and rad
and
I still say all that.
I do too. I
try not to say rad.
No. I guess, well, now that you bring it up, I probably don't say rad either.
We knew a couple of people that would always say rad.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
I just want to kick him in the shins.
I know. That's rad.
That's rad. So Mary said, bro, you explained it, and then you said you were confused. Take the other person out. Laughing face.
What?
What? This is he. No, seriously.
She just confused me.
That's how that's working.
Yeah.
All right. So the more serious holiday, or let's just talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that.
So Chris McCall said, "Good morning. Is this Chris? This is he. I like the studio remodel. Ha ha ha." Yeah.
Morning.
Welcome to my. Yeah. I had the contractor here install this last night.
Yeah, brick by brick. The brick's still wet, so we're like worried it's gonna fall on.
Yeah. There's bracing behind it to keep it from totally collapsing.
Still setting. Thanks for giving me a brick wall for this backdrop. I want something different.
Nothing but the best for my bestest friend.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So, at any rate, March 4th is the day to encourage people to move forward and achieve their goals. See, it got heavy as soon as I said that.
Yeah.
It was like, are you bringing me down?
What are goals?
You're bringing me down with this goal stuff. Also known as Do Something Day. So it's just encouraging people to move forward and to reach their goals and things like that, which is
that's a good
interesting because the last couple of days, Mary and I have been talking. See, I just said
Mary and I. So you were right.
I was right. She was right. She trained me. Mary and I have been watching a bunch of inspirational little reels and stuff like that about not being around negative people and being around positive people that can encourage you. And then it comes back to that your network is your net worth. Like the people that you hang around with can be like-minded, but if you're around negative people all the time, then it just drags you down. Like I think the negativity
you could fall in it too, where you're right. I
exactly
deal with negative people, then you're like, wow, this guy's I get it.
And as we get into the whole Midline story, we can talk about how negative we are.
Yeah, bitter.
Nobody knows what they're doing except us.
No, yeah.
So I've been on this leg recovery journey for 7 months now. Can you believe that?
It's crazy, man.
I know.
I'm just glad you're walking.
I am walking.
And you're playing drums.
And
man.
I'm playing drums.
And you're doing it well.
Yeah, thank you. It's I'll be going to physical therapy later this morning. And I'm feeling pretty good. Like my range of motion's really close to being all the way, but I still hobble and
pain. Like
no, it's just I don't know. There was so much damage in there when they cut and had to put things back together and cutting through nerves and muscle and all that, trying to repair. And it's Matt Vanderbo is here. What's up, Matt? Fred and Anthony? Good to see you again, Anthony.
How's it going, Matt?
Mary's going to see Matt later. She's I think they're going to try to do some music kind of clinic at Idaho Fine Arts Academy.
Oh, cool.
Because our buddy Matt here has just been having such great success with doing music for film and TV. And
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Matt's another one of those guys when you're around, he's really infectious.
No, he's a great dude. Yeah. I think I sang on one of his albums. I did a couple tunes.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah. I have it. I just can't remember the name of it right now offhand. But it was a great project. I had a lot of fun doing it.
Matt, what was the name of that record that you did? I think it was like kind of like a rock opera song.
Yeah, it was like yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah.
In fact, I was moving. I got new bedroom furniture. I had to move all my
from your royalties.
Yeah, from my royalties. Yeah. No, yeah, that I'm still living off of. But no, I saw that album. I just saw it not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I forgot. You know how you forget? I don't even know how many years ago that was. A long time ago.
It's been a while. He said Blood Red.
Yep.
Back in 2007.
Yeah. So it was a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Don't make me do math.
Yeah, I know. I don't. It was quite a while
ago. That was 18 years ago.
18 years ago.
I think I'm correct.
I could have had a kid and already been gone. Yeah, that's crazy. We started. Well, I'm just saying it's 18 years old, but we were talking about how we've been parent. We kind of started late in life.
Yeah,
being parent.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I did more than you.
So Mary and I were 30 when Christian was born.
So I think I was like 30. I think I was way older. So I have a 16-year-old. So do that math.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, never mind. Well, I was old when I started having kids.
Yeah. Well, we had Jude when we were 41.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of funny because I have one the same age. Well, because I have my youngest is
about the same age as Jude, right?
Jude's 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, my daughter is 11. They're only a couple of months apart, I think.
I think you're right.
I think mine's like 3 months older.
So Jude's birthday is April 7th.
Yeah. But yes. So, but your kids were all older and kind of It was just funny. It was like giving you a crib. Oh, you need to borrow my crib because you got you got rid of your crib a long time ago.
You did. Yeah. We because my 3 older kids, we were. What did I say? Mary says August. I meant August 7th. I don't know what month I said.
I don't either.
The producer's right here.
Well,
she's chasing me around with whiteout. The story corrector. Could you imagine? Mary could be like in what do they call those people in court that they're typing everything?
I don't know what you call them, but I was always impressed by them.
Yes. I think I'm impressed by Mary.
Yeah, I think you have no choice.
I'm in it so deep now. There's just I can't leave. She said I said April. She said I said April.
Is that correct?
Is that the correct grammar? Mary says no. I'd zone out. Jared Anthony's here. Good morning, gents. It's always a good day when you have a Italian singer in the studio, right?
Hey, Jared. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah. Jared was here on Friday, I believe.
Doing some studio recording?
Yeah, he did a couple covers. I think I just was in here to make sure that things were working, and then I just went inside and started putting new drum heads on. But
were you helping Mary if she was making any mistakes on anything?
I was not, because she doesn't need help. She's mistake free.
So he came in and recorded a couple covers.
He did, yeah. I think a Queensryche one maybe. And
what's Queensryche do?
I don't remember. And a Judas Priest song, I believe.
I've been listening to a lot of Queensryche lately. I just got back. Mind Crime I listened to the other day. It just takes me back to my.
That's my favorite Queensryche record.
Yeah. I was always a huge Queensryche. When I was just in junior high.
Did you see the Building Empires tour when they did all of Operation Mind Crime?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. I remember Mind Crime on vinyl. My brother-in-law had it, and I was in California. I remember seeing it and listening to it like for the first time, and it was seriously on vinyl.
Yeah.
And I was just like blown away.
Yeah,
the instant fan from. But I listened to I think The Warning. I think that was
was that the first record?
Lady in Black and all that. I was really into that stuff too. But
Jared said the cover he did of Queensryche is "I Don't Believe in Love."
Oh yeah, I don't believe in love.
That's on the record before Mind Crime.
No, that's on Mind Crime.
No, yes,
it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And what's my favorite? Take Hold of the Flame. I think
that's on the record before.
Yeah, that's awesome song.
Yeah, which is for some
reason.
And
the new singer. I saw Jeff Tate do that, and he couldn't hit that one high right in the beginning.
Right.
And so I saw Queensryche at the fair. Gosh, it had to be.
That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's a little longer.
Was it longer than that?
It's more than 3 years ago, I'm sure. But that new singer, I can't remember his name right now.
Something Latour
yeah, great singer. God, that guy hit that note.
Man, why can't I ever think of it? Well, anyway,
that guy hit that note. Like they did Take Hold of the Flame, and I got chills instantly when he hit that note.
Yeah, he's and Jared said the other song he did from the Judas Priest song he did was Victim of Changes.
Oh yeah, that's another great song. That's Scorpions, right? Oh wait,
nope, Judas Priest.
Judas Priest. Okay, yeah.
Not Wind of Change.
Yeah, Wind of. That's what I was thinking.
That's a Scorpion song.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool, man.
I can't believe I even thought of that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. Mary would have wrote it in.
Oh, you're gonna see this big hook come in and grab me and pull me away.
Is Mary in the controller?
I don't think so.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
Todd Latour. That's the singer for Queensryche. Right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Jared. Yeah,
great singer.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I guess he's a drummer too.
He is a drummer.
Yeah, he was originally the drummer.
I think that he's recorded drums on some Queensryche stuff. I don't know a lot about Queensryche since he became the singer.
Yeah.
Or since Casey, the drummer's name is Casey. Can't think of his last name. I follow him on Facebook. He's a really good drummer too. But the original drummer, Scott Rockenfield.
Dude, the guy, hands down.
That's
one of the best drummers on the planet, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of those when people start talking about your favorite drummers or the top 100 best drummers in the world or something. I don't ever see him on that list, and it just blows my mind that he's not.
I remember there's this live video Queensryche way back. I think it is before Minecraft. It's like them in Japan or something, and just watching him live.
Yeah.
I just remember being a kid blown away.
Yeah.
He was always kind of behind the beat. I don't know. He just did some really. You would know more technical, but he was just one of those in the pocket kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's an awesome drummer.
I think.
Why did he quit?
I don't know. I see now. I'm getting into where I don't really. Oh, hey, your corrector is here.
Okay.
Sonny.
Oh,
Bridley is 17, dummy.
Oh. Well, I was
the producer number 2 is in the room.
Oh yes, 17. Thank you.
Oh, you and I are going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah, so
you want to just hang out here today?
Yeah. So how old was I when I had her then? She's an accountant. My wife's an accountant.
Oh, so she knew the answer before you asked.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. No, so when I heard a Neil Peart from Rush, that was my track. I was like, just boom.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I play like Neil Peart. Bart Robley's here.
Hey, Bart. I've never met him. Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah,
you know who he is because I've talked about him so much.
I know, and I follow him.
I have a Bart crush.
Yeah. Are you picturing him in the gym this morning?
Oh yeah. So Bart is on tour with the Sam Morrison Band, and I think he's on a 17-date run. I think it might be more.
Oh,
I think they have 17 shows, so he might be on the road. I might have a little bit of the facts mixed up, but the story's the same. Is that Bart likes to get up? He's the early morning riser, and he's in the gym, and there's nobody else there.
See, that'd be the way to go.
I messaged him. I said, "Doesn't anybody else in your band like go hang out and work out with you?" He's like, "No."
Yeah,
they're like a 6 or 7 piece band, I think, and he's the only one in the gym
that works out.
He's the only one that's not gonna just fall over. When they're
and it's always nice getting your workout in right off the bat.
Yeah. James Harrison said he loves Scott Rockenfield's drumming and drum sound. Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think I was talking about Neil Peart being such a huge influence on me, but I think Scott Rockenfield's drumming influences me more than Rush's.
I could see that. Yeah,
does.
Yeah.
I'm pretty animated player, and so then people go, "Oh, like you play with like Morgan Rose or Shannon Larkin or something like that." Like stage performance wise, probably
Morgan Rose, which is really you kind of remind me of him. That was, and we talked about that way before we even knew who they were.
Right.
And it's the truth.
Morgan will say
that's not.
Yeah, Morgan says people always say like he's a Fred Fisher ripoff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every time we hang out with that guy.
Yeah, I know.
Which is quite often.
Yeah.
No, you are a lot. I mean, your styles are a lot the same, but I don't think that was your influence growing up.
No, it wasn't.
You already had that style, which is pretty crazy.
Bart says no gym today, just coffee. John Klein is here. Good morning, Fred and Anthony. Gary Tackett, dudes. Morning. I love the backdrop. Thanks, Gary. It's
all for me.
Yeah, we have it.
This goes away after next week.
Well, it's in the wrong place, so I'm gonna have to tear it down. And rebuild it.
Yeah, rebuild it brick by brick, man.
I did not sleep at all last night, and barely got a shower in to get all the mortar
still got
off
cement all over his hands.
Greg is here. Good morning, Greg. Yeah. Well, that's all great stuff. Morgan. Well, the times that we've seen the guys in Seven Dust, they were always super nice.
Very nice guys.
Yeah.
Very. It was. Yeah. We've got to open up for them a few times.
I think a few times. Yeah.
Which have just been great. Great guys. I remember the one time where the weather was really bad or something.
Yeah. And their gear, they got here before their gear did.
And so we got to just hang out with them.
Yeah.
And we had just played with Motley Crue or something with the Tex.
Yeah.
You kind of were more in on it than I
was. So when we did the shows with Motley Crue, Viggy, Tommy Lee's drum tech, was on that tour.
Yeah.
And
which was a cool guy.
Yeah. So there was like 2 people that were actually cool from the Motley Crue circle. So Viggy, and then their head of security, Hawk.
Yeah. He wasn't that cool
until we broke the rules.
Yeah. Until we almost got it.
So check it out. So we opened up for Motley Crue a couple times on their greatest hits tour. And we had a laminate. Yeah, we had these backstage all access. Laminate.
Are you telling the story when we got on tour?
You could.
Oh, I don't want to.
You're part of this story, bro.
Bro. So, bro.
Wait, I'm bro.
Yeah, okay.
That's what Mary called me. Okay. I'm bro today.
No, so you helped me with this, but we were on tour.
Yeah.
Motley Crue was playing Boise the night that we got back. And
that's right.
And so we were in the van. We had the trailer, the whole bit. We were coming home from the road, and we were like, let's just see if our laminates will work, because we didn't have. Yeah, because we didn't have money because we just got back from tour, so we were probably broke.
We were broke.
And then, but we had our laminate. Yeah. So we just drove at the Idaho Center, and that's where we opened up for them.
Yeah.
And we drove to the Ida Center, kind of where you go in the back where all the tour buses, and we just showed our laminate when we pulled up in the van. And the security goes, "Go on in."
Just waves us in.
So we're like, "Holy crap, we're in!"
Yeah.
And then we park by the tour buses. We get out. We have our laminates on, and we're gonna
walk
backstage and watch the show and leave.
Yeah.
Well, we get through the one. We had to go through 3 security things.
Well, that we didn't get through.
Okay, no, we got through one. We got through the main one. We got through the car one.
We got through the main one, and then our text, Jimmy and Frank, went, "Yeah, we're in."
Yes.
And I think that guy at
no, there was a jerk
that was the head of security.
The head of security
who remembered us from when we played shows.
Yeah, so he knew that we shouldn't be back there. There was a guy that lived in Idaho or lived in Boise that knew that, we were not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So he calls Hawk, their head of security, and this guy is a big dude.
He's like 6'8".
Yeah, and he's just
built like this wall.
He's built. And so I remember going through the door, and Hawk opens it. The security guy's like, "I'm calling Hawk," and we said, "Go ahead and call Hawk." We were like kind of still trying to fight our way.
We were being cocky.
We were being really cocky. And then all of a sudden, Hawk shows up. And we did 2 shows with him, so Hawk remembered us, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes, he goes, give me your laminates. And I was like, no way is anybody getting my Motley Crue laminate.
Yeah,
I would fight Hawk for that.
You might win.
Yeah, and so I remember
blood was just like
I grabbed my laminate.
Yeah, we all took a big step.
Yeah,
back.
we took a step. He goes, "Just kidding, come on in." And he let us in.
Yeah,
that was awesome. And that guy was eyeballing us the whole time we were.
Oh, so Hawk, he goes, "Just put him in your pocket." Brought us in. He walked us through the main gate. And he goes, "I don't know how popular you guys are here or whatever, but I can't
put you in VIP or something."
And then, but we went right to the front.
Yeah.
And some guy was just staring me down, like the security guy, the ones that stand in front of the stage.
That was the guy that tried to get us kicked out.
Yeah. And when the show was over, we all turned to leave, and he kept going, "Hey," and he was like picking me up.
He did not like you.
He did not like me, and he was. I think he wanted to fight me, and he's like, "You've been causing problems all night." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, and I don't know what he was talking about.
Well, except that we got on the show for free.
Yeah, you're right.
In a sneaky kind of way.
In a sneaky way, and his power didn't work. That was my part.
Yeah, I love it when
we've had that happen a few times.
Yeah, and then it even just. It infuriates them even more.
Yeah, and then it's like, then you pay for it later. So like the next time you go to a gig,
then you got to deal with it. They're like, "Hey buddy,
you're not my buddy."
Remember when you wanted to fight me?
Yeah. I remember.
Can you move my drums for me?
Were you at the Sammy Hagar where we kind of did the same thing?
I wasn't.
Oh,
but you could tell that story.
That was unbelievable. We did the same thing. Sammy Hagar was playing up in Lucky Peak.
Yeah,
they only did a few shows there. And I think it was Scott. It was me. It was Scott and I, and my brother.
Was Stymie with you?
Stymie.
Yeah.
And we just said, let's try it. So we just the concert's going, and we just walked backstage, and the lady was sitting there, where you can't go through.
Yeah.
And we just walked through, we didn't even look at her.
Yeah,
we just looked ahead and went, and she didn't even bat an eye. We looked like a band.
Yeah.
We just went in, and we were just standing on the side of the stage, and there was a ramp. And we're watching Sammy Hagar from the side of the stage, and he keeps waving us up. And I keep looking behind me going, "You're doing the whole, is this me?
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Come on," and brought us all up on stage. And I had my arm around Sammy Hagar, doing the Van Halen kick. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
But see, you owned it.
We owned it.
Like you meant, like you
and then we got
kicked
out. I'm just kidding.
Man, Anthony and I have so many stories over decades of being in a band together and traveling, and we've had words before.
Yeah, we've had a couple. After 30 years, or you got to get.
You're
a
lucky
couple
to
fights.
be alive.
I know. That's true. That's true.
Actually, no. You and I kind of got into it once a long time ago, and you are remarkably strong.
Did I ever we didn't go for blows, did we?
No,
I just kind of put you in your place.
You did put me in my place. But when Alf was in the band,
Alf and I got in a fight. I remember that.
Alf got embarrassed.
Well, we were play fight.
We were. It wasn't turned into.
Were. Because he would always, he was like the workout guy. I think he started wanting to like fight me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was like joking, right? And
but you serious. Have that effect on people where you just kind of get under.
Yeah, I just nab them,
and you're just like pecking at them.
Yeah, I just peck them. Yeah. I admit, but now that I'm 3 years sober almost, I don't drink. I used to be the jerk when I drank. I admit. I drink a little too much. I get a little bit, a jerk.
Yeah.
But that was probably that thing. But I backed it up with Alf, I guess.
That was a night of rehearsal, though. So I think
we were just hanging out. I think it was.
Well, it was at the old band house, wasn't it?
And we lived together.
Yeah.
And you're brothers.
Right.
And little things might bug you, like you didn't clean the kitchen or you didn't do this or you had, who knows? When you're living with that many guys, and that was a crazy time. That really band house was not only disgusting, but it was.
There's so much stuff happened there that was part of the history of the band. But thinking specifically about Alf kind of getting into it with you is I think it started out as being funny.
Yeah.
And he had been working out.
Yeah, he was like
he's built more like I am.
Oh yeah.
He's kind of got my frame, and you're just a little guy. When he kind of started messing with you, and I don't know where all your muscle is, but you just like you're like this wall.
Yeah,
like there's no.
I am a 2nd degree gold belt.
Is that the color you get when you buy the belt?
Yeah, no, it's white.
It's white. Okay.
Then I quit. No,
but the more that he came after you and couldn't dominate you in any way, I just started laughing more and more, just like I was hysterically laughing and I was like crying laughing. And I think that pissed off Alf even more.
It did. It really did.
And to this, that happened so long ago. And to this day, sometimes when because I still play with Alf with the Cliff sometimes, and every once in a while that comes along, and I'll start laughing, and he gets this really sad look on his face.
He's never started crap with me ever since.
No. Yeah.
You and I never got in a physical fight ever.
I think we kind of wrestled around a little bit, but I think everybody's been in a headlock by you.
Really?
Maybe not Stymie.
No, Stymie. Yeah, he's too passive. He's neutral guy.
I remember. There was a rehearsal when I think Stymie was threatening to quit. And I got up from behind my drums and I got right in his face. I go, "You're going to sit down or I'm going to sit you down."
You did a lot of that on tours. You had to put us in place on the road.
Well, I was the dad of the band.
You were the dad. I would sneak stuff too. Like my thing to get on his side was like, "Hey man, I'll buy you a burger if you stop and get me some beer or whatever."
You'd always find your way through my stomach.
Yeah. You get whatever you want, Fred.
I took advantage of that. A lot of Denny's trips at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was such good stuff. So I started writing down like questions I was going to ask you, and I just felt like it's just going to roll the stories. But if you guys haven't figured out yet, Midline singer, Anthony Fagiano here.
Nice to meet
you. When did Midline start, and how did Midline come to be?
So I was in a band, which I think we just called ourselves Aurora. Well, I'm from Denver. I moved here when I was 13. My parents moved here, and I kind of started a band with this Ron Hepler and Troy Munkers. Troy was the drummer, Ron was the guitar player. And I worked at Mandarin Palace washing dishes. But Ron worked at Mandarin Palace. So we both were dishwashers. So the days that I worked, he he had the day off, so we could never really get a rehearsal. And so I was thinking I need to get a guitar player, that can be there. And I was going to Boise High, and I heard about Scott Elliott. I didn't know him, but I heard he's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
And so I just saw him in the hallway and said, "Hey man, I'm in a band. You want to come and try out?" Well, so he came and tried out. Or no, he never showed up the first time. And then the second time he brought his girlfriend, which, back then, you don't bring your girlfriend to rehearsal.
What's a girlfriend?
I don't know. I didn't have one at the time. That's why I was trying to get a band together.
Yeah.
But and then we jammed that first time, and I had a couple songs I wrote, and he just learned them right away. Scott did, and then we just kind of slowly got rid of Troy, and we didn't have a drummer for a long time. We couldn't find one, and so it was just Scott and I kind of writing and trying to get a band together. And then we met John Conley, and then John Conley had a house on 19th and Good, like on the north end. So we had a rehearsal spot because they had a basement.
Yeah.
So we, and the rest is history. Then Alf, this is the great thing about Alf. Alf was 1 year younger than me at Boise High, and he kind of just hung out with me. And he was really into, he didn't play guitar or anything.
Yeah.
But he was really into music.
Yeah.
And so he would ask if he could come to rehearsals, and he'd just show up at the 19th and Good house. And I remember I had a Flying V Hondo. I'm left-handed, by the way, so all my guitars are right-handed flipped. And so I just gave him this Flying V because I couldn't, it was just one of those awkward guitars. And I didn't see him for a while, and he came back, and he was this, what a great bass player is.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those guys that I remember teaching him a couple of chords that I knew. I'm self-taught. I'm not a great guitar player, but just teaching him kind of what I knew. And he took that, and I don't know if he had any background, but that's how I remember it, is me kind of showing him a couple chords. But it was I've showed people kind of a couple chords, and they just can't, it just doesn't work. You kind of know, you either have it or you don't. And he had it. Yeah. And so, and then he became the bass player.
So what year did the band start?
1990.
1990.
That we actually had the actual band.
Yeah.
That 1990.
Yeah. That's a long time ago. That's 35 years ago.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy how fast life goes.
Big J says, "You sexy bastards."
Hi, buddy.
There he is.
There's a great dude.
I have to have Anthony on the show for Big J to check in.
No, he's live probably.
Oh, right? I know. He's
got his own, but he's probably watching. He's watching us.
He has a way bigger audience than I do.
Yeah. That would be a great guest.
It would be.
He'd have to call in sick.
He would have to call in. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea, though. I would love to get Big J.
He would do
here
it
somehow.
He would do it.
Yeah. Big J, I'm planting that seed, and we'll see how, if at all possible, we could make that work. That would be cool.
Big J is such a huge part of our history too, from the way back in the day. I remember seeing him. Great guy.
Yeah.
I love Big J.
Yeah. So the band got started in 1990, and then what was take yourself back to being 18, I guess.
18 and just really kind of serious. How all my friends that I was hanging out with high school, they were all going to either college or the Navy, and I was and I could have went to college. Probably should have now. But I was just so focused. I already knew. I knew it second grade. Billy wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
I mean, I kind of just, this is what I want to do.
What happened in your life so young that you thought, oh, I want to be a rock star? What was the influence?
I don't know. I think just something about music. I remember my sisters were older, and they were really into Kiss. And I remember seeing kind of Kiss, and just the whole music, I was just intrigued about. I just knew it immediately.
Yeah.
Which is kind of I'm glad that I knew what I wanted, because I was so focused. I'm happy where I'm at today, but in everything we went through to what we've done, I wouldn't change anything.
No.
Wouldn't change it. I mean, I'd change a couple things. Business people you hung out with, or
this is true.
There's a lot of roads in the music business. The music business is hard no matter what, but sometimes when you're so far in it, you don't realize you're making big mistakes, probably because your maturity at the level that because we kind of got thrown in when we were very young. We were having great things happen, but I don't know if we were mature enough to know business wise what we should have done at that at that stage. I don't think we were not smart business people. I think it was just believing. Do you remember that time where we had at one time we had 3 people that wanted to produce the next record, and we had all these people, all these people. We had just not major record deals, but we just had people that wanted to manage us and had contracts, and we didn't know. It was kind of weird time.
Well, it's hard to know what's legit.
Yeah,
because there's in the music business. There's this quote, and I'm going to completely screw it up, but something along the music business is a long, shallow trench filled with pimps and dogs, and people want to take your money, and then there's a negative side.
Yeah,
I can't remember how that quote is said exactly.
I know what you're saying,
but there's So I'll come back to that in a second, but so Midline got together, and was everybody in the band on the same page? We're doing this thing.
Yes.
Taking yourself back to being between 18 and your early 20s. What was the focus of the band?
We were
what was your goal? What was your destination?
Okay, our
right
goal,
or wrong?
I already know exactly what our goal was. We were rehearsing, and we wanted to play the biggest show. We always thought, if you couldn't be the biggest band in your hometown, how could you be the biggest band in the world?
Yeah.
So that was we just said, okay, if we can rule this town where we were really popular and we can draw.
Yeah.
If we couldn't do that, then how the heck could we move to LA? Because that's kind of was the,
right.
You
wanted to
and we were going to move to
first.
Seattle even before Seattle. It was either Seattle, and that was before Seattle blew up.
Before the grunge thing.
But a lot of people understand a lot of those bands were coming here and playing.
Mm-hmm.
That the Soundgarden and all those bands would play before they made it big in Boise, or Crazy Horse and all that kind of stuff. So Scott was really into the Seattle scene before it even blew up.
Right.
I didn't get it. No. I was still listening to Whitesnake.
Me too.
Okay, so and I mean, it's just because that's what was played. I mean, I was looking more and Scott was really, he turned me on to all those bands. And it took me a while to that's just the guitar doesn't sound into.
Yeah,
what's with all the feedback?
Well, like you said, you were into Whitesnake, and so was I. I was into the hair bands pretty heavily, and then Rush and Queensryche. But I think I heard of Soundgarden being a Bogies, which Bogies is I don't know, 300, 400 capacity venue at the time. And then I would see people around who had Soundgarden shirts on because they bought them at the.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who Soundgarden is.
Scott went to that show.
Yeah.
I didn't, because him and I were roommates, I believe. And I remember him talking me into going to the Nirvana show at the same place. Okay?
Yeah, Bogies. Yeah.
And it was on their Bleach album. I hope that's right.
Probably.
And I remember listening to Bleach, and I mean, this sounds bad, but I just didn't. I was just like, really?
Yeah.
And I went into that show, listened to Bleach on a cassette, and then Scott and I went out. And I remember when I saw Nirvana play the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to be a rock star now. I was blown away.
Yeah.
I remember the bass player, and I can't remember his name. I don't know why.
Chris Novoselic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He was jumping up so high. I thought he was going to hit the seat, because he's a tall guy.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing concert.
Yeah.
And I knew that was coming. That change was coming after that concert. I knew that the whole landscape was going to change.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I wasn't in the band at that time, but I was definitely friends with you guys.
Yeah.
I was playing with Tuesday's Child, and we did shows with you guys. And I remember actually before I was in Tuesday's Child, because you talking about like wanting to be the biggest band in town.
Yeah, and that was the show. Did you play our first show? Or didn't your band open up for our very first show?
No, I wasn't in Tuesday's Child yet, but there was. It's weird to say because I always screw it up. Bucket Band Night.
Yeah, Bucket Band Night. Okay, yeah.
Excuse me. A guitar player that I grew up with and went to school with was going to Boise State, and he was roommates or lived in the dorms with Jim McCrosty, who was the guitar player for Tuesday's Child. And so that's how I met the Tuesday's Child guys, were through my buddy Joey, who I went to school with, and found out they were going to need a drummer. And I hadn't moved to Boise yet. This is before I did the whole showcase thing.
Okay.
So Joey and I went to Bogey's to Bucket Band Night, and there was 5 bands, and I think I missed the first couple of bands. I don't remember who they were.
So you didn't get your money's worth.
I didn't get. Can I get $3 back, please? Can I get $10 back, please? So I was sitting towards the back, kind of up on a rail, I think, and watching the bands. I watched Tuesday's Child, and I thought, oh, these guys are pretty good. I could picture myself playing with them. And then Midline came on, and it was like a national act had just taken the stage. It was like so much of everything was just such on a much higher level than everybody else that had played that night. And I was like, that's the band I want to be in, was what you guys were doing. And, you know, I didn't have long black hair. I didn't, I leaned more towards Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing you too. Yeah. But I remember watching you play drums for the first time. And I was like, you know, you were just your stage presence was like unbelievable.
Yeah, thanks.
And I remember our drummer, you know, we're going backwards because you know, that was before you were in a band. But when you actually, your band opened up for us, John Conley was just so into you.
Yeah.
He would, at practice, he would try to practice your moves.
Yeah.
Like he would work on Fredisms all the time. And he would always talk about you. And then it was weird that you ended up
in the band. Yeah.
And replacing him. But I think he liked that. I think he thought that was awesome. He's such a good guy too.
Oh, he's
he wasn't bitter about it. You know, it was just like,
no, well, we'll come back to John in a second if I can remember. Tony Galatz is here.
Hey,
good morning, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
So Tony was Midline's front of house engineer for like 10 years straight.
Yes, he
took him on tour.
He was on the road a lot.
Yeah, he got to see so much of the.
Yeah, he knows exactly the ins and outs.
Yeah. But he might be here to correct me, just like the producer.
Yeah, he could, and me, because I was seeing through a lot of that.
Mary says, I wish I would have known about the Candlebox gig at Bogey's. That would have been amazing. Remember us opening for... So Candlebox played 2 nights at Bogey's. This is right when they were like hitting their stride. And Deep Down Trauma Hounds played the first night.
And then we
played the second night. And so Candlebox was on Maverick Records, which was Madonna's label.
And there was always rumor that she was going to
be there.
Because it was their first headlining show. I think they were on a tour and then they had it and they canceled the date and then they came back.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Tim Garland.
Hey, Tim.
Longtime friend of the band.
That guy's been in front row.
Yeah.
So many
he and his wife.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Did I say that right? He and his wife?
Yeah.
I didn't say his wife and him.
He and his wife.
That's right. That's his he.
That's right. We didn't go to college. Who cares?
No, we're safe as kittens. Yeah. See, that's an Anthonyism that I always 99. Okay, so 1994. I'm driving in my pickup, my little black Toyota pickup. I'm heading out to the desert to ride my motocross bike. I've got on 100.3 pirate radio. Just listen to the radio like that. That was the radio station.
Yeah.
all of a sudden I hear da na 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 da na 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 blah 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 blah, dude, and I'm like, Midline's on the radio.
Yeah.
Mind blown. And it wasn't Sunday night.
No,
it wasn't part of the let's appease all the local bands by playing them on Sunday night.
Yeah.
It was like, this is like mid-afternoon. And I was like, just turned up my radio. I'm like, my friends are on the radio. And I thought that was like the coolest thing. And I didn't think anything else of it other than that was like, it was a special thing for me because I was friends with you guys.
Yeah.
And I was a fan of the band before I had ever met you guys. And I was like thinking to myself, like, good for them. That seemed like an impossible thing to have happen, is to get on the radio, like for real on the radio.
Yeah, dude.
And so I didn't know if that was just like a one-off deal or what, but then as the days went on, I kept hearing Midline Promise Me on the radio over and over and over again, like regular rotation.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't just a courtesy spin or whatever. This is like, so how did that come to be where Midline was on the radio? Like what happened?
Well, it happened because of the local Sunday, the Sunday night the local, they would play it. And then the owner of the radio station, Bob Lee, this is how he explained it. Like, he was just driving home from the radio station in his car, and they were playing a song that Scott and it was called Broken Dream, that we had going on that Sunday night. It was the first song we really recorded in a real studio. And he just turned around to find out, because there was before cell phones. It's not like he could call the radio station. He says he turned around to find out who it was. And
who was working
there? I believe it was Todd Dunnigan.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I do believe it was. And I don't know if I believe Todd gave him the information to get a hold of us. And it was probably our phone number, which rang at the band house.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember our manager at the time, talking to Bob Lee. And then I remember going in and meeting with Bob Lee, and he said, I know a hit. When I hear a hit, I know it's a hit. And he goes, I'm not going to play you guys on regular rotation unless you have a full album, which we didn't at the time.
Yeah.
We only had a couple songs recorded. Because he says, I don't want to start playing it on the radio and then people wanting it and they can't get it.
They can't get it.
So we understood all that. So we knew we had a lot of work to do. So we had enough to make an album. So we went right in the studio and started recording that music. And we ended up, the funny part of this story, which I've told before, but I'll do it a little quicker. But the song that he thought was a hit did not turn out good when we recorded it. Scott and I couldn't stand it. So we gave him another song, which was Promise Me, and went to his office and said, here's the hit song you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it was Promise Me. It wasn't Broken Dream. He played it in his little boot box on his desk. Uh-huh. He goes, that's the hit. That's the hit. And we're just like, we were hoping that we could fool him.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And he started playing that song that day. I mean, it went from that, and I want to say an ADAT, or what did they used to have a cart. Oh. Remember the carts in the old radio stations where, they weren't CDs.
I think there was an ADAT.
Like an ADAT. Because we brought them.
It was almost like.
It looked like a tape. But
it was almost like a 8-track looking kind of deal, but it wasn't an 8-track.
Yeah, it's like a little tape thing.
Yeah.
And then they had these boxes. It was like a cart. Like a cart with wheels. And I might be wrong, but this is how I picture it in my brain.
Yeah.
And he put that in that cart where all like ZZ Top or all the bands that were getting played regular. I just remember seeing the cart. He popped it in there. And he played it live when we were still there. And he announced, this is Promise Me. And it got played for another year and a half, 2 years. He did like 3 singles off the
Wasn't
record.
There 4 off the record? There was Promise Me, Summer Sky, Here and Now.
I think
Coming On.
And Coming On was, and we got a little short life on the Coming On thing. But from that day on, Promise Me played through all those other singles.
Yeah.
So when he did another single like Summer Sky, Promise Me was still getting played.
Yeah. So now you had 2 songs.
Now we had 2 songs. Yeah. And it was kind of cool. But that's how that happened.
So that's awesome. Daniel Marshall says, don't forget Rick Schroeder. He was a great mentor for me. Oh yeah. Rick Schroeder was.
Rick Schroeder is all part of that. My very first show, we hired Rick Schroeder for sound. We hired, who's the guy that built our stage? This was before you were in the band, but we did.
Oh yeah. So
Rick Schroeder, he's right. Rick Schroeder, Weeze, all those guys, we gravitated towards those guys because those guys got us to the next level.
Well, wasn't Rick's business called Arena Sound?
Yeah, Arena Sound.
Yeah, and Weeze did lights.
He did lighting, and then Scott and I ended up working for Weeze, doing lights.
Yeah.
Setting up lights. Any band that came in town, we set them up, set the lights up for them if they needed lights. We were all part of the whole deal.
So when I was in, all these stories have this massive web of interconnected things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to keep track of the timeline, but back when I was in Tuesday's Child, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Midline is what started Alive After 5.
I know it. I don't mean this this isn't like no one had ever rented out
the Grove
ever.
Yeah.
And so this girl was managing us at the time. This was before Weeze.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name because this was so long ago.
Yeah.
But this girl wanted to manage. We were in the basement. I don't even know how we met her, but she was like really good too. She was like one of those like out getting us shows. And, and she figured it out, and she got to the Grove and rented the Grove out.
Yeah.
And we did a deposit or some kind of thing, and they approved it all and all that kind of stuff. So we had to build a stage, and it was a big stage. Do you remember that stage?
I do, because you guys.
And there was no Live After 5, by the way.
Right. You guys did it 2 years in a row. I did not play the first year. I think it was you guys in LA Calling, and I don't remember what other bands.
Yeah, I don't either.
But that was at the Grove where Alive After 5 happens. And then, but I had heard about it.
Well, and then 3,000 flyers, 4,000 flyers. I mean,
and then you had 3,000 people there.
Yes. And it was crazy.
Then the second year you guys played at Tuesday's Child played.
And we had commercials.
You had commercials, and it was just this massive, massive concert that happened there.
And it was at night.
And it was at night.
So it was on a night, like on a Saturday night. And I remember the first time we did it, all we did was just pass out flyers, and I remember the night before they built the stage, and we're watching the stage, and this is our first show, like our first role. We shouldn't have been headlining. We weren't that good.
But you were driven.
Yeah, we were driven. But I remember Scott and I going to the show, and they had Main Street blocked off because there was so much traffic, and there was no, this is a long time ago.
Right.
And there was cops all over and trying to block traffic, and we played this show, and I want to say there was 3,000 people there.
At least.
I have video where you would not believe how many people were there.
Yeah.
And the next year, JB's restaurant, our bass player, I think, worked there, or they paid for all the commercials for the next time, and that's the time you played. So it was even bigger.
Yeah.
So the Beanery and all the surrounding restaurants made so much money that night.
Yeah.
That they asked to do it again. And I think that was like this money making with all the little surrounding businesses at the Grove. They were packing people in.
Yeah.
And people were buying their booze. And
so I think that's when the Downtown Business Association kind of stepped in and said, we're taking this.
Yeah, let's do a Live After 5.
Yeah. And we haven't played it since.
No. and we had to pay for security or something the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved in the business part of any of that. I was just like an observer from the side. So I would I was there when like Weeze and Rick Schroeder were having like conversations with the powers that be, like how that was being run and things like that.
Well, it goes back, not to cut you off, but it goes back to where you were saying, what was your goal?
Yeah.
That was our goal. How can we play the biggest show ever?
Right.
So everyone will know,
Yeah.
And that was our idea.
Right.
That was us just brainstorming, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
So that was our first thing that we did as a band.
So you guys put this thing into motion, and it gave birth
to whatever
to
happened
Live After
that.
5.
Yeah.
That didn't include.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if the Live After, because that's pretty popular around.
Yeah.
But it made it, I think it was like showed, oh, this could be a venue.
Right.
Because it was never a venue.
Well, it could be a venue, it's a destination thing, but like you said, all those businesses, not just the ones that like were right up against it, but the ones that were
downtown was just it got saturated.
Yeah. So Tony said Rick taught me sound and sent me to my first Midline gig. Oh yeah. Yep. That's when we became friends with Tony Galaz, and this goes back to like kind of your mindset of like wanting to own every place we go. Is like you were so adamant about we need to have our own sound guy who knows the band.
Yeah, it's so important.
And what the band's supposed to sound like, and but not just like talking about Tony. You know, Tony believed in our dream too.
No, Tony was just a part of. To me, I looked at Tony just as part of the band.
Yeah,
as me. I mean, we were all on the same.
Yeah,
we all wanted the same thing.
All for one and one.
But
for
it's
all
like he's the motor. I mean, he's just as part of the band. Because you know when I got on stage, I knew my vocals. He knew when to add a little delay on some parts.
When to add effects.
He knew us.
Right, and he knew. Oh, here comes a guitar solo. So he would bring that up in the mix, and he knew like you were going to do a vocal thing here that's carrying over, and he would add like he's got all of that timed and all like he's paying attention and like at that time I was playing one rack tom in the middle, 12, and then I had a 14 floor and an 18 floor. Yeah. And we called the 18 floor the sewer tom because when I hit that, I wanted to be this really guttural, low end thing because I like to hit that with my snare at the same time. It was kind of like getting punched in the gut a little bit when I would hit that.
Yeah.
And it was nice that Tony understood what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to carry a lot of PA gear because places we played had house sound systems. It was just like Tony comes in and makes friends with the house engineer.
And he'd know what we have, and he would tell us, okay, they got this, we don't have that.
Yeah.
You know,
And so he was taking care of us in that way. James Harrison says, I remember opening a couple of concerts in the area where the Grove is now. It was before it became the Grove. What was it called before the Grove?
Yeah, I don't think it was even called the Grove when we played it. It was.
Oh, could be.
I want to say it wasn't even like brick. You know how they have the bricks with the names? That didn't even exist, I don't think.
Yeah, the fountain thing
wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like a courtyard kind of spot.
Yeah. That was so you had all of this huge stuff going on, like playing those shows, getting on the radio. And like the first time I heard you on the radio, I was heading out to the desert to go have fun, dirt bike riding, and it wasn't long after that I went to Granny's basement, which you and Scott were hanging out.
Yeah, we
at Granny's
lived there. We pretty much lived at the basement. Down the Broadway.
Yeah. So I remember going down there, and you guys weren't there, and I saw Chad Waite's girlfriend. Do you remember Chad Waite's girlfriend?
Yes, I do remember.
Jennifer. Yeah. She was one of those girls that when you just looked at, you kind of just started going back.
Yeah, she was pretty cute.
Yeah. No, but I saw her, but she wasn't with Chad, which I thought was strange. And I asked where he was, and she told me that he was at the Dreamwalker. That was a coffee shop that did shows.
Yeah.
Playing his last show with Happenstance. And I was like, what? And then she said, he's going to play drums for Midline. And I was pretty good friends with you guys, especially John Conley. Yeah. And I couldn't picture the band without John.
Yeah.
You guys had just gotten on the radio. I think you were a few weeks into being on the radio. And at the same time, I couldn't picture Chad being the drummer for Midline either.
Yeah.
Not that Chad's a bad drummer.
And we were really tight with them because we did a lot of shows with them.
Yeah.
And they were, a good band and all talented guys. So we just asked them.
Right.
And we were scared. We didn't want, we wanted damage control. We had some damage control to do, and we wanted to do it as smooth and as quick as we could to just get someone in there to replace John, to where it didn't look like, oh, Midline's falling apart. The song is going to get thrown off the air.
Right. You couldn't let that momentum go.
No, and we didn't say to anybody. We kind of kept it on the down low, like, hey, this is going on.
Now I didn't say anything to anybody either when she told me that, but and then you guys weren't around, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit strange. So I just sorry, I don't remember how you got in. How did you find out? Or I know how you found out, but how did you end up trying out? I forgot. So Chad was in the band. And the Scene newspaper came out, and Midline's on the front cover of the newspaper, and with Chad in the picture. That was another thing. We had to do that photo shoot so we had to just get a body in there because we didn't have John. So I recognize all this momentum that Midline had, being on the radio, like heavy rotation, and suddenly finding out that the drummer's not in the band. I knew immediately. I probably thought like you did, like, this can't happen because you're going to lose that. Yeah, that's like here's a radio station that took a chance on the band to start playing it like that. That radio station, Bob Lee, was believing in the band, and like, this is going to be like the thing that helps push them to the national scene. Yeah, and so my mind is like spinning like crazy. So I found this out. And like I said, I couldn't imagine John not being in the band, but at the same time, I didn't picture Chad staying in the band. Yeah. Just because stylistically. We were way different style. Yeah. And it was like Midline's an arena rock band, and Chad's band was more of this prog rock kind of a thing. Yeah, they were. And that. Great guys, and but you kind of know. Yeah, it's kind of like when you date a girl and you kind of take her on a date. Yeah, and you get along with her because she's in your crowd. Yeah, but once you go on a date, it was kind of like you kind of knew, right? We'll just be friends. Yeah, we'll just be friends. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in my band that I was in was just in shambles. It was like always like at risk of falling apart. Yeah, and I was like, man, I wanted to be part of something where everybody was so driven to do something big. Yeah. And you guys were the only people that I knew that were actually working on making that happen. And so once I had that information, I immediately started practicing the Happenstance album and the Midline album back to back to back, on just the off chance that either band would ask me to play. Because either band, well, for one, Midline was really, really where I wanted to be. Happenstance was still a good band, but my band, like I said, was falling apart. So it was so you were just jumping ship. Yeah, I was like, there's not enough room on the door for me to float on the water forever. Yeah. I've been drowned, just like in Titanic. So started practicing those albums back to back to back, and then I saw you guys play live with Chad a few times, and just that energy wasn't there. That had with John. He didn't have the great drummer, but just not that raw. And it wasn't that. It was more like this. John was a hard hitter. John was a very hard hitter. Yeah, and you're a hard hitter. Yeah, I mean, but it's hard to describe what. He meant what he played. Yeah. So I don't remember where you guys are playing, but I think it might have been like 3 or 4 gigs with Chad. I don't even remember that. And Scott Elliott walks up to me and he goes, "Fredley, when are you going to come jam with us?" And right as soon as those words came out of his mouth, I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." Yeah. I already knew the album. And I know we were already talking about you because we were, behind the scenes would be like, "What about that Fred guy?" And I'd be like, because I watched you play. We were all just, that goofy guy? Yeah, that goofy guy. Is he going to wear the polka dotted shirt? No. Oh, look.
But you remind me of like the drummer of Pat Benatar's drummer. Like,
oh yeah,
you were just like.
I've had other people tell me that before.
I mean, when I first saw you, you were just so
because I had the hair helmet.
Yeah, but you came into that rehearsal when we jammed, and you were instantly in the band. And
yeah,
I mean, I haven't played with a lot of drummers in my life, but dude, by far you're just like.
Well, thanks.
You did. You ruled the band.
Thank you. Let's catch up on a couple comments here. Let's see. James said that spot was a parking lot for a long time. Joffrey Stone, henceforward it shall be the Midline Courtyard. I agree. They should change the name of that. James says he used to teach Chad.
Oh, okay.
Daniel says, I saw Midline for the first time of Rock the Mountain on the last day. Midline set the bar times 10 of what a great band should be. Oh, man, thanks.
Thank you.
Tony says, thanks. I mix that a lot. And then Joff again says, I know we, not sure if Dave would admit it, but we in Rip Chain always looked at, let's do what Midline is doing. What is Midline doing? You'll set the bar for local bands. Man, thanks. I'm going to post this little comment right here. See, that's fun. Yeah. So that comes back, coming back to like the Bucket Band Night thing is like when I saw these other bands play and then Midline came on, it was like an obvious difference in stage presence and sound and just like a complete package. Like I was watching a concert.
Yeah.
Where the other bands before I was watching like individual songs they play a song and then there would be this like the dead air thing. Which we're so against.
You can't have dead air. I mean, that was our.
You can't have dead air.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
So when Scott asked me to come jam with the band, I was already ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I was in the band, and then my first show with the band, John Conley was there. And I was really nervous because I hadn't seen or talked to John since all of that went down.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how this guy was going to feel about me being in his spot.
Yeah.
And he came up and gave me the biggest hug.
Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah. There's if you know John Conley, you only need to spend about 45 seconds with him before you think that you're best friends.
And you'll get a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like there was never like John Conley. It was a business. It was business, and I don't want to talk about.
No, I understand.
Because that was all business, and and it wasn't. It was a sad time,
right?
But it was a business decision. It was either sink. Right. Or swim.
Yeah.
And we had to make a huge decision, and it wasn't an easy decision, but there was no, he understood it too.
Right.
And that's why I can't.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
There's a thing called the Midline Mafia.
Yeah.
Those stories you just can't share.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I saw him, he gave me the biggest hug and he said, of anybody that is in this spot, I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, and I know that he is
so much.
I don't, and it was almost like it was supposed to happen because I still picture him going. And I'm saying this again, I'm repeating myself.
Yeah,
but I remember going into the rehearsal room where we practiced back in those days, and he was working on this thing that you did with this. You flipped your snare and you flipped the stick and all that, and he just was practicing. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "That's what that Fred does this," and he was trying to learn the way you play.
Yeah.
And he was your biggest fan. He was the one that made me look at your drumming like the next show. Like I really watched you. I remember watching you and John and I were like this in the band. I mean, when John was in the band, him and I went out every night.
Yeah.
Him and I partied every night. I mean, we were very close. So he talked a lot about you.
He was over well, it's probably been, excuse me. I was having trouble with one of my pickup trucks. And John lives close. And so
he's a mechanic.
Yeah, he's a mechanic. So I said, hey, he came right over and He gives me a big hug, just like he always does.
Yeah.
And he's like, he comes in the studio and he's looking at my drums. He's like, man, I can never figure out how you did this move or the stick trick or whatever. He's like, I still try to do those things.
Yeah, no, he loved it.
Yeah. It's awesome. That guy is so great. He's an amazing guy. So him telling me that just put me at ease when he's like, yeah, of anybody that should be in this spot, it's I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, and to go back, like when you were saying that you watched us play and that we were kind of like our stage presence and no ditter.
Yeah,
that a band just doesn't get together and learn that. It just doesn't happen, especially when you're 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We had, a guy that was helping us wheeze. That was where we would watch our shows and study it.
Yeah,
and we were competing with like the bigger band, and we wanted to be those bands. So we stepped out of our comfort zone, which it is. And now it's not uncomfortable.
Right.
It's uncomfortable if you don't do that. If you're staring at your shoes, that's uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
If you're not looking at the crowd when you're singing, or you're not, they're here, they're paying money to see you.
Yeah.
So you give them, that's, if you're not visually
show.
So that, I didn't know that when I first started. I was scared, but the more you come out of your comfort zone live, the better you are.
Yeah.
The better the crowd.
Yeah.
It's all a power thing.
I always tell my students, like, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the larger your comfort zone becomes.
Yes.
Like, you just keep expanding that and expanding that. So Wheeze was the band manager for a long time, and I know he had a lot to do with helping put a show together, like those important things. But do you think everybody in the band had that in them sort of already?
Yeah, I think.
And so Wheeze just kind of uncovered that and helped.
I think we all wanted the same thing, and then he would watch what we were doing and say, "You need to do more of this."
Yeah,
Scott, when you do a solo, you need to come out, because he was a light guy.
Yeah,
and he worked on big shows like Van Halen and stuff like that. But we had our lights focused to where we had X's on the stage where I stand when I sing. I can stand on this other X when I go to the other side of the stage. He had spots and lights.
Yeah.
And different parts of the song. When you're watching a band, you're watching movement. I don't know if there's a lot of people that you go watch a band, they're great musically and live, but there's like
standing there. Yeah. They look
like
no
energy, like,
oh yeah.
But it's like, then you could go watch a band like even like Nirvana. People don't want to believe it. Like they were, that was the most energy, one of the most energy shows that sticks in my brain.
From that Bleach tour.
From them falling on the ground, playing on their backs, running, jumping. I couldn't,
And that's a 3-piece band.
Yeah, that's a 3-piece band, but it was like, I had no time to I was just blown away.
Yeah.
You had the music and you had the sound, the look, the whole stage presence. So that's what hits the whole package.
Yeah.
So that's what we were trying to do.
Well, I think I had I was going to ask you just what you answered. Like, so my question was like, do you think that how you look and how you perform on stage is important? And that you just answered that. Like, that's so important.
It's very important.
Like to look like you're in the band.
Yeah, to look like you're in the band. To look, you don't necessarily have. I don't think
you and I are shoe guys.
Yeah, we're shoe guys. I like shoes, and you have to have nice shoes.
Yeah.
Well, who told me that was Rick Schroeder.
Was it really?
Rick Schroeder's the very first guy, and I don't know what shoes I had. Maybe I had like tennis shoes on. Because you're not wearing those on stage.
Yeah.
You need to get some nice shoes. Because
and he didn't say it like that. He said it probably
he said it roughly.
You're not wearing those shoes.
But he was serious.
Yeah.
And I took him serious, and I took what he said, and I went and got me a nice pair of shoes. But he explained it like the kids are standing right where your shoes are.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
About that.
So if you have flip flops on, or you're wearing no shoes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's a rock star with cool shoes.
Yeah.
He's a rock star. Yeah, you don't want to wear shoes that, the guy in the audience is wearing. That was another thing.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing when we were kids. Like, we saying, you need to wear these pants or you need to wear that. And it would be like,
yeah,
I just want to wear my jeans and my jean jacket.
Right.
But
that doesn't really work.
But he's right. Because when you stood kind of out and we would go to LA and we'd buy clothes that you couldn't buy here. And
right.
You fit the part. It's kind of
well, I think about it like if you were to go downtown Boise, like right now, people are going to work or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you saw Steven Tyler walking down the street, you'd immediately know that's Steven Tyler just by how he's dressed.
Yeah.
Because he looks like a rock star.
Yeah. Exactly.
He looks like he's ready to step on stage. Same with Prince. Like when you never saw Prince in like shorts and hanging out at the pool or
no, and I believe that you wear clothes.
Not that somebody couldn't do that.
No, but you wear clothes that you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of found as older, I'm going to wear clothes that I would wear on the streets. But I don't know how to explain it. Like black, we kind of wear black pants. We don't wear jeans. I kind of wear like,
more almost borderline slacks.
Kind of, but kind of
it's
cool.
It's a
with
little
boots.
It's like cool dressy.
Yeah, kind of dressy but cool rock. Yeah. That's comfortable for me.
Right.
A lot of bands dress that way.
Yeah.
But
I would never wear what I'm wearing right now to play a gig.
No. But you have your gig clothes, and I also found this out too, and then people aren't going to believe this, but you're backstage a lot. You're doing sound check. There's a lot of hurry up and wait when you're playing a show, and if you're playing a national show, it is a lot of hurry up and wait because they want you there early, and you're just watching them do a 5-hour sound check, and then you get about 30 seconds to get your stuff on gear. Sometimes, sometimes you get a sound check, but most of the time. Don't plan on a sound check.
Yeah, it's a throw and go.
And that's why you want to always know your levels. You want to know your crap. But I know when I have my gig bag and I have my clothes, and you put your clothes on and you go out on stage. You're a different. Me, it gets me in that like a football player probably puts his uniform on.
Absolutely.
I become the guy that I wanted to be as a kid. I'm not I don't know if that makes sense, but
to me it makes a lot of sense because when I go on stage, I'm still Fred Fisher, but I almost become a different Fred Fisher.
Yeah, a cool Fred Fisher.
Yeah, well, it's you just get in that headspace.
Yeah, because you got to get out. You're performing.
So stage presence and your performance and having a show put together that's already worked out to where there's you don't have dead air. What was your favorite gig that you've ever played? Do you have one?
Question. That's a hard question. I do, but I have a favorite day.
Okay.
And I have. That's a pretty big. God, I played some good shows.
Well, here's
What's your favorite show?
That's not fair. I'm the interviewer. No, I added up not long ago that between Midline and everything else I've done, I've played over 4,000 shows.
That's a lot.
I think with Midline, it's like 2,800, 3,000 shows.
Yeah, we've played a lot of shows
that I've been on stage with
together.
You
yeah,
that many times.
Yeah,
over all these years. I don't remember every gig I've played.
No, I don't either. I especially don't.
But it's interesting because it's like, well, what's your favorite show? Well, I have a lot. Opening up for Motley Crue was really great. Opening up for Godsmack was great. Volbeat was cool. Those are all arena shows.
Volbeat was cool because I thought we'd never be able to get an arena show. It was like way after our other.
Yeah.
Getting that arena show again was like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Later in life. I mean, kind of when we all started families and not touring anymore.
Yeah. It's there's so many good things. Tony says opening for Godsmack. Yeah. Jeff Norvell says top notch, Fred. First time I saw you play, I was back in the woodshed. Nice. Mary says, what's your most embarrassing moment on stage?
Oh, I already know, but it's also my favorite day.
Okay.
My favorite day, but it's not the sad thing is you weren't on that day.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it was we got to open up for Queensryche.
Yeah.
And it was
in
like
an arena.
In arena at the Idaho or no talk. Well, I don't know what it is now.
I always call it the pavilion.
Pavilion. So it was at the pavilion, and that whole day was so cool. But I didn't realize that day Queensryche lost their label, so they were having a bad day in a way. I think their label dropped in that day, and just from going into an arena atmosphere, your dream. That's like making it to the big leagues.
Right.
Queensryche just treated us so well. Like, Carrie, did you get catering? Did you get food? Like they would, we'd be in our backstage, and it was a real backstage area. We had the lights around the mirrors, the whole thing. And I just was in awe the whole day. And I remember Jeff Tate watching our sound check. Watching our sound check, sitting right there, just the whole sound. And I'm like, Jeff Tate is like watching me sing, all nervous, And then him coming in our backstage and sitting down and just like
hanging out to us, talking.
Like not like in 5 minutes. It's like, hey, so really, just a real conversation.
Yeah. It
was that whole day.
Yeah.
Well, before I went on stage, and this is where my embarrassing that Mary's asking, it's that same night. I was so nervous, I'm playing an arena for the first time, so I have to pee like every 5 seconds. Oh, maybe I go again, and you're like you're standing on the side, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go one more time. So anyway, got the lights shutting off, get on stage, perform.
That's such a rush feeling.
Such a rush, and being in an arena, I remember the lights just going clink, 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 and then
yeah.
And it's like, it's everything what you think it'd be.
Right.
And I guess I got back after the show, I was in the mirror or whatever, we were all talking, I looked down and my zipper was undone. It's like, oh man. So that might be
that. Yeah.
But I don't know how many people noticed. I think you did. Didn't you?
Well, I don't know. I was in the second row. So real fast story. I got in the band as you guys heard. And I was in the band for about 2 years, and then some ugliness happened. And I was out of the band for about 2 years, and then I was back.
Yeah, was it 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe just short of 2 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And I've been back ever since.
Yeah.
That's so much of that goes back to like, I think we would have handled ourselves way different now.
Yeah, well,
knowing
you were right.
Maturity thing, right?
In a way, you were right.
Well, I'm always right.
Well, no, I mean, it was more. It was if no one.
Mary says, "Yeah, we saw."
Yeah, yeah. If no one, so like, with the falling out that Fred and I had, or the band and Fred was picking friendship over business, and Fred was right about the business, and you were. But we were, sometimes you're too close to it.
Yeah.
And too many people are living off what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you start to believe that this person is the reason why you're where you're at. But in reality, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, it was just sinking us.
Yeah.
But I think everyone in the band really knew that it was sinking us, but except for me, I was in is it me? No, I was in a position.
This is he.
I was in a position where I felt like I had to protect this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were like, this person are kind of me. And
right.
And I don't blame you. But
that was one of my saddest moments in my music career, was being out of the band at that time.
I was sad too.
It was really hard to watch the band go on without me, because I felt like that was the thing that I wanted to be in, like, and we were great, and we were friends. I mean, we just had so much momentum and everything going on. And Seven Dust actually has a song that's closer related to that. That song's called "Too Close to Hate," and it's just like having that relationship so tightly with somebody else that, right or wrong, nothing's going to stop that. When also in the back of your mind, that relationship should probably stop.
Yeah.
And move and go in another direction.
Yeah. But in a way, you made that change by you leaving the band. It did change. And you think about all the stuff we accomplished after that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that was early in our career. We were still young.
Right.
Enough.
Yeah.
To make it, to make our dreams come true on that whole band part. The goal and the momentum, that never changed.
Yeah. And
you got right back in there and we did even more. Well, in my opinion.
I got back in the band. I had gone and toured with the band from Michigan for a while. I had played in another local band for a little while, but none of that, as cool as some of those moments were, I felt like a square peg in a round hole kind of a thing. Like, I don't fit.
Yeah.
Or this doesn't fit me, or however you want to look at it. But,
yeah.
So getting back in the band and like all of that happening, it was like, I'm finally back in the vehicle I was supposed to be in to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's when we got our record deal.
Yeah.
And that's when we had our Jägermeister sponsorship. And that's when we just like, that's when touring just really took off for us. And all of these things that happened was just like pretty remarkable.
Well, we were living what we were working for.
I
mean, being in the music business is very, very, very hard.
Yes.
And to be successful is very hard. And even when you're working hard, and there's a lot of evil stuff in the business.
Sure.
There's a lot of evil people.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get in the business and you're really in it and you really start to see, and this was back when we were in the business, before the internet and all that crap, but there was a lot of, you got really, they always say you're green when you started out. I get that.
Right.
Because we were definitely ripe. We were definitely, by the time we were touring and all that and all the stuff we had been through, you get really hardened in the business.
Mm-hmm.
You know that half the people are full of crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can tell when someone's full of crap. And then you just realize, the whole business is just messed up. And you know what I'm saying?
And not only is it messed up, but then like thinking like, I don't want to add to this snaky disaster,
Yeah.
I think, when we were out touring for like, I don't know, there was like about a 10-year stretch that we were really busy on the road playing shows and, getting off work on Friday and go play Friday and Saturday night somewhere, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or we'd go for, like a week and a half or whatever and do our California run and those things. And we didn't have cell phones.
No, I had had one. It was like this big.
Yeah, you had like
I had the first.
This is a wall of cell phones right here.
Yeah.
So we would have these sales sheets that we had to fill out every night for merch and for CD sales and send that to the record label.
Yeah, but I ended up owning the band every night.
Breakfast.
No, that, and I would always give chicks a CD or.
Oh yeah. See, that's right.
I was like,
you were the pushover.
I'd always give someone.
I was like,
CD.
give me the money.
Yeah, well, we had to.
Yeah, we had to get to the next town.
Well, no, I'm saying we had to report it.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in the day, you could just give someone a CD, but
not when they're being kept track of. Was it SoundScan?
SoundScan.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't.
I think there were SoundScan sheets we had to fill out and fax to the record label.
Every night.
So we would get done with a show, and then we'd have to find a Kinko's, like a 24-hour Kinko's somewhere, and fax.
But what's funny is when we wanted tour support, there was no fax back or any.
No,
there was just crickets.
Yeah, this number you've called has been disconnected.
Hey, where's the tour support you promised us?
Yeah, oh man,
that was sad.
We went into so much debt.
That was sad.
That was Gary Tackett says, great content and history. It's funny how that story is duplicated in many areas. Local bands do good. The ride is so much fun. Highs and lows. Yep.
Yeah. Lots of highs and
lows. Yeah. What am I forgetting? I mean, we could probably talk.
Yeah, we could. I don't even know what time it is.
It's 8:15. Oh. No, it's 8:30.
Oh, wow.
These are how our rehearsals go. It's like, are we going to play music? No, let's reminisce.
Well, now we kind of we rehearse.
We do rehearse.
We do rehearse a lot.
Well, let's fast forward to current Midline.
Yeah.
We we have a different guitar player, JB Allen.
Yes.
Who was awesome.
Great guy.
How long has JB played in the band? Do you remember?
I don't know. Has it been 8 years? Is that
JB probably knows.
Yeah, he would probably.
So Scott got sick.
Yeah, Scott had some health problems.
Yeah.
And I was in a band with JB.
You were in a little side
project.
Band. Yeah.
And that's how I met JB. And then Scott knew JB too. But anyway, JB was a fan of Midline and kind of Scott, we didn't know what Scott's health was, day to day.
Right.
And then we had national shows and good shows. And so if Scott wasn't feeling good, we just had JB kind of fill in. Is that kind of how?
Well, we were, Mary says since 2012.
Well, give us how many years is
that?
That's 6, 7. That's 8 years. Is that?
Well,
let's see.
So 2012 to 2022 would be 10, 11, 12, almost 13 years that JB's been with us.
See, that's what I mean. It's like
time is like,
I said 8.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It's hard to remember. Like I feel like I'm in a time warp because when I think of things, I'm like, oh, that happened last year. No, that happened 7 years ago. It's like, what? I don't.
No, it is. That is crazy.
But yeah, so Scott was having his health problems, and we were getting offered shows a lot, like at the Rev or the Knitting Factory and, nationals. And it was like, we didn't know. I mean, Scott didn't know either, like if he was going to feel well enough to play.
Yeah.
And so I think we finally said, hey, can we get a guitar player to fill in the event that you can't play, or we can just not work until you get over whatever this thing is that's going on.
Yeah.
And Scott was like, no, get JB.
Yeah. And then it worked out. I mean, there would be shows on, when we would play and Scott's gear was set up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
he couldn't do
it. And then we would pull his amp off and slide JB's on the other side. And and so he really had to play both things. Is he going to be the lead guitar player tonight, or he's not going to be the lead guitar player tonight? Yeah. And he's just so professional. And
we talked about that with JB last week. I think we were talking about this, is that he had alternate guitar parts if Scott was playing versus if Scott wasn't there, and just like the professionalism and the talent and ability to be like, okay, well, this is the situation, and then this is how it's working tonight.
Yeah.
And never
complained.
No,
he never was like, it was really weird when he was working with the band from the very beginning, 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
It felt like I knew JB my whole life. Like he was always in the band. He never like felt weird.
He came in, it was just like,
it's like
personality and just like, it's never been awkward with JB.
No, he's such a talented guy too. Very talented.
And I remember the band when it was you and I and Scott and Stymie for so long. Yeah. Like that was probably the longest lineup of the band's history.
Yeah.
And all of the highs and lows we went through, the four of us. So when Scott left the band during the COVID year, and he was like, this isn't for me anymore, I'm going to do this other thing. That was hard to get around because of the history of the band, of the four of us. Yeah. It was like I couldn't imagine life in Midline without Scott.
No, well, it just wasn't right.
It didn't. Yeah, it seems so foreign and so, like you said, not right. It was like, I don't understand like how this would work going forward without him. And it was just like, I couldn't get around that idea.
But I think if we didn't have JB, where JB was playing Scott's part, like we were doing shows without Scott because of his health. Yeah. And it didn't feel weird. I mean, it felt weird, but he did it so well where it didn't.
That's like, true.
We kind of had that, oh, wow,
Right. Yeah.
And I think if we didn't have JB as that,
we probably would have sunk.
We would have sunk. We would have probably discarded.
Yeah.
And then we were still writing, and the COVID.
Yeah. And it wasn't long after that Stymie left too. And then that was like,
well, we never had a rehearsal with Stymie. In reality, from COVID,
we didn't.
From the time Scott, after COVID, and we were starting to get back into rehearsal.
Yeah.
Stymie was supposed to show up, or we had a rehearsal scheduled. Then Stymie called and bagged out, and said, "I'm not going to do it." And then we were just us three were in this room, going, "What are we going to do?
Turn up the bass.
We have no bass.
We got no bass player."
And so
we would ask the could you turn up the bass?
We never said let's bag it. It just because we were writing tunes. And then James came in.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a whole funny thing too, because it's
so we didn't have a bass player, and we were writing songs, and Onward was like at the top of the list. Like that was our focus. And I think you went to go track vocals for Onward at JB's house, and you got there, and JB's like, "Hey, I got this other thing."
Yeah.
And I remember you called me, and you like, "We got a new song. It's this, that, and the other. That's what we're going to work on. It's called Ghost." And I was like, "What?" Yeah. And then when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's where we should focus."
Yeah, we like wrote it that night.
And that's when I called Scott Alexander from Dishwalla.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, buddy, can you put bass on this song? Can you be in the music video? Can you play this show? Show
that we got booked?"
Yeah. So Scott,
Big J.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were going to do this Rocked in Alzheimer's show, which we hadn't played a show since before COVID.
And we didn't even have a bass player.
We didn't have a bass player. So Scott had to go on tour with Dishwalla.
Yeah.
That he didn't see coming.
No.
And so now we're like,
now we're scared.
We're freaking out a little bit. Like, how are we going to make this work? And I had remembered that James Lancaster had been at the studio doing some stuff with us, not us, but with me and Mary. Mary and I. Thank you. This is he. That's the subcontext of this whole show. I remember him saying that he also plays bass, that he could play bass.
Yeah.
And it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I didn't put a lot of stock into what he said.
Yeah.
About that. And then
well, you think of him as a guitar player.
Well, and he's an unbelievably phenomenal guitar player, and he's a great singer, and
he's a great bass player too.
He's a great everything.
Yeah.
Mary calls James her spirit animal.
Yeah.
He's just there's
it's kind of like the JB thing when he came in.
Yeah.
And we were rehearsing. Well, we gave him the set list of what the show was.
Well, I could tell you exactly where I was on the road with Cliff Miller. Somewhere, I don't remember where I was. I just know I was on the road. And I called James in the morning and I said, "Hey, we have this situation. Would you be into playing bass for this show?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll do that. And send me the songs." Okay. So I don't know. Did we have like 11, 12 songs in our set?
I think so.
And I sent him the list. And then I also told him, I said, now some of these songs are tuned different because to match your voice, your older voice.
Yeah, my older voice. Yeah.
Which, that's important for singers to admit is like, oh, I can't sing in this register anymore. We got to play this in a different key to make it work. And so I messaged JB and I said, "Hey, can you tell me what the tuning is for each of these songs?"
Yeah.
So that James would know and learn it in the right key. And no problem. So JB sent me that information. I passed it on to James. We had our first rehearsal. I thought James was going to come in knowing one or two songs.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, oh, we're going to work on those. He knew all of them.
He knew all of them, and he did in well.
Yeah, in like 8 days.
We played the whole set.
Yeah.
That first night. And I'm like, I thought we were going to play 3.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe 3.
So I think he had 8 days from the time I had called him to the time he was here. Was like he learned all. And now midline bass parts aren't your traditional bass playing. It's not pedaling 8 notes, just going doom, 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 doom.
It's
doom,
like
doom.
lead.
It's like lead bass.
Lead bass. We call him the lead bass
He's
player.
the lead bass player. Yeah. And it just works so well. And he's just been in the band ever since. And so going back to like when Scott said he was leaving the band, and then not long after Stymie, I was just like, man, I couldn't see a clear picture of what this was going to look like going down the road. And now that we're here and the things that we've done since then, it's like, man, this is just such a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're making music videos.
March 4th.
Yeah.
We're marching forward.
Yeah. And we're still making, I believe, decent music and good music.
Decent.
I think it's good music.
I think it's great music.
I think it's some of the best writing we've done. But that's what, that I really believe in our new music.
I do too.
We got music videos from your wife that does a great job.
Yeah.
The band's in a good place right now. We got all those casino gigs. Got a couple fair gigs.
A couple bar mitzvahs. So I love you, man. We've had
you, man.
so many great things continue to happen for us. We were supposed to play with Hinder last August until I broke my leg.
You got on a scooter.
That was a setback. But
we've had worse setbacks.
We have, yeah.
So
Tony says, when are you coming to Tucson?
Get us a show.
Bonnie says, May the 4th be with you. Bonnie, it's March. Look, I got to correct somebody.
Yeah,
look at me go. Instead of Mary being the great corrector. I want to just keep talking and talking and talking, but I do have to get to physical therapy.
Yeah,
soon. How do you feel about your voice at this point in your life?
I think my voice, is the strongest it's ever been.
I agree. I think
I have had no, knock on brick. I have not had any vocal problems ever.
Right.
Even when I'm sick, have a cold, it doesn't really affect me. I've been sick on the road and still be able to perform.
Yeah.
You've never seen me lose my voice. I've never lost my voice.
No.
But singing now, I just feel so, and we are tuned down a little bit, but most people my age, they tune down a half step full, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, but I'm comfortable. I don't feel, I think if you sing properly, you know how to sing.
Yeah.
And you're not singing through your throat. You take care of yourself. You'll always, and you warm up. See, and some people don't warm up. I warm up. Like when I come to rehearsrsal, I on the drive here, which is not a very far drive.
Right.
But
you get things going.
I do my warm ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that's always been important to me. Well, not always, used to be, Jameson or a cigarette was my warm up.
Well, so you smoked for a long, long time.
I did.
How long has it been since you stopped smoking?
It'll be 6 years in September.
Okay.
September 24th, it'll be 6 years I haven't had a cigarette.
I noticed, I always loved your voice prior to, but once you stopped smoking, it was like your voice opened up more.
Yeah.
Like there was something in the tonality of your voice that just seemed to come alive. That was really, really strong.
I mean, I feel stronger now that I don't smoke.
Was it hard to quit?
Well, no, I got hypnotized.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So it was really easy.
You will not smoke.
I got hypnotized when I was younger, like in my 20s, and it worked.
Okay.
But then being on the road and Scott smoked and everyone smoked,
right?
I ended up, probably drinking and had a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, that's the only thing that worked on me. So I did it one other time, and boom, it was.
How long has it been since you've had alcohol?
It'll be 3 years, June 15th.
Wow.
This year.
Wow.
And I quit drinking.
Do you miss?
I got hypnotized.
You got hypnotized.
I'm just kidding. No, I do not miss alcohol. not even this much. I mean, I still hang out with my friends that drink, and it doesn't bother me if you drink in front of me. It doesn't bother me at all. I just have no desire to drink at all. I don't know why. Probably because I drank enough to where I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I used to think I needed alcohol to be on stage. I used to think I needed alcohol to, I get social anxiety a little bit. Like when when I go out and a lot of it, was drinking and I don't even remember people's names or whatever. And I get really nervous. Like if someone comes up to me and they know me, but I don't know them, I feel like bad. So when I drank, I felt more, hey, social.
Yeah.
But then now that I've not been drinking, I feel even more confident in public without drinking because I'm going to remember what I said to you. I'm going to remember your name now.
Right.
And I'm going to remember seeing you and meeting you. So the next time I see you, I'm going to remember you.
Yeah.
And that's the way I want to live the rest of my life. So that's where I'm at.
Good for you.
But I don't mean to go off. But
I think it's good for people to hear. It's inspiring. I've never been a big drinker myself.
Yeah.
And I've never smoked, as you know, but now if I drink a beer, it really disagrees with my guts.
It's not good for you, man.
It's not. And it's odd because I really hated the taste of beer. And then dealing with you, I learned to love it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I loved when I got Fred to drink.
Oh yeah.
If I could get Fred to drink, like I'll never forget Vegas when we were on the road.
Oh yeah.
You were just the only thing Fred would drink would be like pina coladas or something. And you'd have like a little umbrella. And then we'd be at the, I don't remember what.
We were at the Luxor.
The Luxor, and you're just sitting in the lobby with a little umbrella going. But first time I ever
with my hair all in braids.
Yeah. Yeah. Fred was always fun when he drank.
Yeah. There was one drinking story because I don't have many. Is what we were in Denver.
I remember that.
We were at Little Frank was my drum tech, and we were staying at his brother's house, Travis. And I never let loose on tour. No. I had to drive.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anywhere to be.
I was the day driver. You were the night driver.
Yeah. You and I, we couldn't trust anybody else in the band to drive.
No. The hell no.
But
and I was usually drunk at night, so that's what.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know why, but I was, everybody in the band did something off color at some point except me.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was being pretty wild and crazy, and we had quite a bit to drink.
The altitude too.
I forgot about that.
You're in the Colorado, man.
I think that Travis had a bunch of like frozen pizzas, and I think we cooked them and ate them all. And then I threw all his plastic furniture off the balcony in his backyard,
which is not like Fred.
No, I mean that was me being destructive, and I made Scott Elliott sit next to me, drinking beer until the sun came up, and we were talking in Jimmy talk. We were like, nothing for nothing, talking in a really raspy voice. Scott and I both were until the sun came up, and then I don't know if he even went to sleep or not. I don't.
We played Colorado Springs the next day.
Did we?
Yeah. Because
okay.
I was lost.
That's right.
That was when I showed up when the sun came up.
Oh yeah. So my voice hurt so bad for several days after that, talking like that. But that's a moment I'll never forget. It's Scott and I sitting in these big lounge chairs on the deck at Travis's house.
Yeah.
And we're just telling stupid jokes, like I'd say. Scott's smoking and drinking, and I've got a beer, and I'm like, "Oh, we're supposed to do a bar." The bartender says, "Why the long face?" And he and I would just die laughing for like 10 minutes, and then we just keep the whole thing going.
Well, we could get Fred drunk. It was fun.
Tony says, "Oh, throwing the lawn chairs off the balcony." Yep.
We always stole stuff. Well, I always did, but we'd always have like the sandbox on the motorhome. You remember you guys stealing the sandbox? And
that was in an RV.
We would always steal stuff. So whenever we were on the road, and whatever club we would play, they would kind of dare me. I bet you can't steal that. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so like there was like a cowboy hat one time. Or there was a cowboy hat. There was a real cowboy hat
that you came home with somehow.
Yeah, I stole it. It was almost that place where I was near Canada. We were playing.
Was that where you got the cowboy hat?
Yeah, I know.
It was like right on the border of Canada.
I jumped off the roof of the place because our backstage. It was a big venue.
Yeah.
I had to jump off the roof because I stole this hat, and I'm drunk, and I stole this hat. It was a nice cowboy hat, and I ended up. But when I woke up, I'm not a thief, and I would freak out.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, Jimmy, you need to ship this to this place. And I'd go and I'd put it in a box, and we shipped it back to the club and said, sorry. I thought this was my hat. This is obviously not my hat. And I would send stuff back or bring stuff back.
Yeah.
Except for that one thing I didn't. Remember that Henry Weinhardt hat? It was like
I couldn't remember if it was Henry Weinhardt's or Jägermeister stuff, but so I think that was when we were in like Snoqualmie, Washington.
Yeah.
That ski resort thing that we played.
Yeah. And you guys did.
There was up on the wall behind. It was like way up there.
It was way up there.
Somebody made like a cowboy hat out of like a beer box.
Yeah, it was like a Henry Weinhardt beer box.
Yeah,
it was a cowboy hat.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, this thing was like way up there. Okay. And then I think I was sitting by you at the bar and you were talking about, I'm going to go home with that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're not. Well, wouldn't you know?
I got it.
The next morning, I go back into the back part of the motorhome where the bunks are, and there's that hat, that cardboard hat.
I do remember how I got it too.
How in the world did you get it?
It was way up high.
It was.
And I was thinking about it the whole time because everyone would dare me.
Like,
you can't get that hat.
And somehow you would wind up.
I asked the bartender, I just said, could I see that? And she had like a sticker or whatever. I don't know what she did. She got it down. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then she's like, went to go help someone for another drink. And we bailed.
Tony says, what about the bike? Oh, Tony, we could just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
I remember we were in Montana at a stoplight after a gig, and a bunch of people like climbed the ladder on the back of the motorhome and got on the roof.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And that's when Dad and me came out
and got mad.
And I was gonna ground everybody, not the band, the people that were horsing around with their stuff.
Yeah.
We got stories that could go for days and days and weeks, probably.
This has been awesome,
dude. This is fun. I didn't sleep hardly at all last night because I just knew that you and I were just
I didn't know
how we are.
I wasn't worried about it at all. It was I don't know what it was. It was
I
was wondering if you had you were going to be all serious.
No, I just try to let this stuff roll.
This is awesome.
Like just a conversation, man, and it's cool. Thank you for doing this. Please, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe.
Yes,
so you don't miss any of this fun stuff. Appreciate that support, dude. Thank you for being here to do this.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Thank you for bringing me human being.
No problem, man.
Thanks to everybody for hanging out and chiming in. Midline's working on trying to get some shows put together.
Yeah, we're working on. We got a couple new tunes in the making, and maybe hopefully get another video out this summer. And
JB the Mad Scientist, I know is he told me he's got a bunch of ideas and stuff that he's like. It's different. See, I could get this conversation going again. It's different how we work now because usually we're not just in this room like throwing out ideas. It's like as ideas happen,
we make demos and then
because everybody has like.
I like it that way.
Yeah, I think it's more efficient.
Yeah,
it's
we come in.
It's a great use of our time because we just do this once a week, getting together. When we were younger,
we would rehearse 7 days a week.
Yeah, every day was
6 days a week.
Every day was Midline Day, and Tony says, "Good to see you guys. Have a great day. You too, brother. Thanks for hanging with us." So just be checking out Midline on Facebook, Midline on Instagram. midlineband.com is our website. That's a kind of a portal to everything that we've got going, and you can stay in touch with what the band's still doing. So, man, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day, and I'll see you next week. It'll be just me, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I'll think of something.
You'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. All right. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you.